So I'm Foster Burnley alongside Alex Kim and my man Chris Brown, and not the actor, and this is our Canterbury Tales Power Rankings. So to start getting into the methodology, what we figured is we should pick the top characters in our methodology would be the worst characters in the group on the pilgrimage, and so that way you can know that those are the characters you want to weed out to have the most cohesive, powerful, and most successful pilgrimage. So to start, we figured, in today's day and age, and we figured it was probably the same as in 1392 when this was written, the first thing people notice when they judge each other is the other person's physical appearance, from the way they looked, their clothing, and everything. And we think that's why Chaucer went into such great detail about this. So we started with physical appearance because it's what people first notice. Next, we went into the practicality of each character or what they brought to the table, because when you work with someone, you really start to notice if this person is just slacking off or they're really doing a great job. And finally, we got into the morality of each character because it's pretty important. And obviously, if the characters in Canterbury Tales have a wide moral compass, and someone's morality can really change the way others will perceive them.
So our first person in our power rankings is the wife of Bath. She really exhibits all the criteria that we have in order to be at the top of our power rankings. So to begin with, her physical appearance is very poor. She has not only a bold face, which is a very diminishing expression to use on a woman, but she also is said to have widely separated teeth and quite large hips. And besides that, she also, the way she carries herself kind of exhibits almost like a confidence or cockiness for really no reason. Secondly, her morals. So to begin with, she's been married 5 different times to 5 different husbands, not counting her suitors in her youth. So her morals as a woman of not only her day, but even today, present day, seem on the looser end. She also is quite the good conversationalist, but she's also had a tendency to be almost a little flirtatious to other men that weren't her husband. And she was said to be all out of charity for her neighbor, perhaps maybe because of the amount of suitors she already had, but she gets easily angered when somebody surpasses her or goes in front of her for an offering in the church. And lastly, her usefulness. She really does not have any use for this pilgrimage other than being a decently good conversationalist and having traveled to faraway cities and lands. She really has no effect on the outcome of this pilgrimage at all, making her quite useless on the trek to Canterbury.
So coming in a close second to the wife of Bath is the summoner. The summoner, for starters, has leprosy, so he's really unattractive. Chaucer describes him in the book as, we talked about his face, for it was pimpled in this color with swollen eyelids, with black, scabby brows, and a beard with hair falling out. And Chaucer went on to say how children and I think animals were really afraid of his physical appearance. So clearly the bar for the summoner was set really low. Getting into his benefits on the trip, you might think because he's a summoner whose job is to call people out when they violate religious law, that on a religious pilgrimage he'd be pretty beneficial, but we concluded that because of the way he went about his job, the summoner was a pretty immoral or pretty useless character. And going into his morality in a sense, he would call people out for things that weren't true violations of the church and would withheld a partner, would have them pay for indulgences. And Chaucer went on to say, and if he found anywhere a good fellow, he would teach him to have no awe of the archdeacon's curse of excommunication. In such a case, unless a man's soul were in his purse, for in his purse he would be punished. goes on to say how the summoner would really just go after people for the money. Clearly a very immoral guy at the start, but building on that, he had his prostitute who he would sell to other men for years at a time in exchange for just something like a quart of wine. So anyone that would put the chance of getting a little buzz from some booze over the life of another human being is clearly an immoral character. And finally, he's just a pretty dumb guy. I mean, he only knows a couple lines of Latin, and he flaunted them around to make it seem way more intelligent than it really is.
Placed third in the power ranking is the Miller, who is depicted as repulsive and ugly looking. When Chaucer describes the Miller's physical appearance, he states that upon the exact top of his nose he had a wart, and thereon stood a tuft of hairs, red as the bristles of sows' ears. His nostrils were black and white. His mouth was as large as a furnace. The red hair standing upon his nose symbolizes lust that the Miller possessed. And from his mouth, the stories and the words that were coming out were unclean and deeds of sexual profligacy. As large as his mouth was, he was a loudmouth and a buffoon, and that was mostly of sin and deeds of harlotry. Along with the Miller's repulsive appearance, the Miller does not bring benefit to the group. He steals corn and sells it for the 3 times the payment, and he tries to make benefit for himself, which clearly shows that he was not only immoral, but that he was not bringing benefit to the group.
So this is our full power rankings. So obviously we have the Wife of Bath, the Summoner, and the Miller at the first, second, and third position. But we actually ranked the narrator quite high up, which was surprising to us too. But after going through and looking at it, the narrator exhibits a sort of sarcastic tone when describing a great amount of the characters, displaying that he not only judges these characters quite quickly in just their general description, but does not really care about kind of how he seems to come off towards others. And the second person that we really want to highlight in our power rankings is the knight. He's very honorable and just a well carried person, and he brings a lot of use to the group.